When we talk about relationships, one thing that always sparks debate is the attraction between younger women and older men. It's not a new thing. It's been around for centuries in different cultures, in different societies. Yet it still gets people talking. Some call it gold digging, some call it daddy issues. Others say it's just natural. But let's pause for a moment and really ask ourselves, why do many younger women prefer older men? Is it just about money, or is there more to it than the stereotypes we've gotten used to? First, let's address the obvious. Stability. Older men often come with a certain level of financial and emotional stability that younger men might still be working toward. And no, it's not always about flashy cars or bank accounts, but about being grounded. A woman in her 20s, for instance, may be trying to find her place in the world. She might still be experimenting with careers, passions, and identities. Having a partner who already has a solid sense of direction can feel reassuring. It's like boarding a ship that already has a captain who knows the waters, instead of one still learning how to sail. That stability can be deeply attractive. Then there's maturity. It's not to say younger men can't be mature, but experience teaches people things books and theories never can. Older men have lived. They've made mistakes, learned from them, and in many cases, developed patience. They're less likely to ghost you after an argument or disappear when things get tough. They've been through enough to know that relationships require compromise, communication, and consistency. That kind of maturity can be very appealing to younger women who don't want to play games. Confidence is another big reason. There's something magnetic about a man who doesn't have to prove himself every second. Older men, having already gone through that phase of needing validation, often walk into a room with quiet assurance. They don't need to boast or compete. Their calm confidence can feel like a breath of fresh air, especially for younger women who may be tired of men still figuring out who they are. And it's not just about confidence in career or social life. It's about confidence in how they treat a woman, how they listen, and how they carry themselves. Now let's talk about mentorship and guidance. This is a sensitive point because it can be misunderstood. I'm not saying women are looking for fathers. What I'm saying is that older men often come with knowledge and perspective that can help a woman grow. Life is not just about romance. It's about navigating challenges, setting goals, and finding purpose. An older partner can offer advice, share wisdom, and open doors to new opportunities. For many younger women, that sense of having someone to look up to and learn from is incredibly valuable. Another layer to this is emotional availability. Ironically, while younger men may have more time, they're often less willing to invest emotionally. Older men, having experienced relationships that worked and others that didn't, tend to value intimacy more. They understand that love is not just about passion, but also about partnership. They're more likely to prioritize meaningful connections over casual flings. And that can make younger women feel seen and valued in ways they might not experience with men their own age. Let's not ignore attraction itself. Many older men take better care of themselves nowadays. They stay fit, they dress well, and they carry a certain charisma that doesn't fade with age. In fact, for some women, the salt hand, pepper look, the subtle wrinkles, and the signs of maturity are appealing in their own right. Physical attraction doesn't always follow the linear idea of youth equaling beauty. Sometimes it's about how someone carries their years with grace. On the flip side, younger men can sometimes bring stress that older men have already outgrown. Younger men may be ambitious, but also distracted, more likely to prioritize partying, chasing trends, or proving themselves socially. That's not always a bad thing, but for a woman who wants peace, direction, and focus, it can be exhausting. The older man represents a kind of calm that says, I've been there, done that, and I don't need the chaos anymore. That sense of calm is a rare currency. Of course, we can't deny that finances play a role too. Let's be honest. Love might not be about money, but money makes love easier. Older men often have the resources to provide comfort, security, and experiences that younger men may not yet afford. This doesn't automatically make a woman shallow. It's not about wanting someone rich, but about wanting someone who can provide a stable environment, who doesn't crumble under the pressure of bills and responsibilities. For many women, that financial security translates to emotional security. At the same time, there's an element of status. Some women find that being with an older man raises their social standing, not because of material things, but because of the perception that comes with it. People often assume an older man chose her because she's special, different, mature beyond her years. That validation, whether we like it or not, matters to some people. It feeds a sense of pride and uniqueness. And we can't ignore love itself. Sometimes it's not about age, money, or maturity. Sometimes it's simply chemistry. People connect for reasons we can't fully explain. A younger woman might meet an older man, and something about him just clicks. His humor, his kindness, his patience, or even the way he makes her feel when she walks into a room. Love often defies logic, and age becomes just a number when two souls genuinely connect. But let me also say this. Not every younger woman prefers older men, and not every older man has what younger women are looking for. It's not a formula, and it's not guaranteed. Some women are drawn to the energy, ambition, and spontaneity of men, their own age or even younger. It all boils down to personal needs, circumstances, and timing. What we see in the trend of younger women gravitating toward older men is simply a reflection of values like stability, maturity, and confidence being highly sought after in relationships. So, the next time we look at a younger woman with an older man, let's not reduce it to tired cliches about money or insecurity. Let's understand that attraction is layered. It's psychological, emotional, social, and sometimes just spiritual. Younger women often prefer older men because of what those men represent. Peace, wisdom, stability, and love that feels intentional. And maybe that's the real lesson here, that at the end of the day, we all want relationships that give us security, joy, and growth. Age is just one factor. What matters most is how someone makes you feel, how they add to your life, and how they stand by you when life gets real. And if an older man does that for a younger woman, who are we to judge? Now, when we dive deeper into the dynamics of attraction between younger women and older men, it's important to remember that human relationships are never simple. They're not math equations where 1 + 1 always equals 2. They're complex, shaped by culture, upbringing, personal experiences, and even biology. What might look unusual from the outside often makes perfect sense to the people who are actually in the relationship. For instance, there's the psychological comfort factor. Many younger women find reassurance in the presence of an older man because he tends to offer a sense of protection and security. It's not always physical protection, but also psychological safety. He's usually less reactive, less impulsive, and less likely to create drama. Imagine being in a space where you don't have to constantly question whether your partner is committed, whether he's texting 3 other women, or whether he's ready to settle down. That kind of reassurance creates peace of mind, and peace of mind is priceless. Also, older men often have stronger communication skills. They've learned that bottling up feelings or lashing out doesn't get you far in a relationship. They've been humbled by life enough to realize that listening is just as important as speaking. For a younger woman who craves a real emotional connection, that quality can make an older man far more appealing. Communication is the backbone of intimacy, and when a partner has mastered it, it makes the relationship feel like a safe haven. Let's also touch on independence. A lot of older men don't need to control or micromanage. They're not as insecure about a woman having her own life, her own friends, and her own ambitions. In fact, many older men encourage it. They admire drive and ambition. They've passed the phase where ego makes them see a strong woman as competition. Instead, they see her as a partner to build with, not someone they need to hold back to feel powerful. That mindset can be liberating for a younger woman who refuses to shrink herself to fit into someone's fragile pride. On a lighter note, there's also the lifestyle difference. Younger men are often in a phase where they want to party every weekend, stay up until dawn, or spend hours playing video games. For some women, that's fun in their late teens or very early 20s, but after a while, it loses its charm. They want a life with balance. They want dinners, trips, meaningful conversations, maybe even starting a family. An older man often matches that rhythm because he's moved beyond the restless stage. He's not chasing nightlife, he's chasing peace. For a woman who also wants peace, that alignment is attractive. Sexual compatibility is another piece of the puzzle people don't always like to talk about openly, but it's real. Older men may not have the same youthful stamina as younger men, but they often compensate with attentiveness, patience, and experience. They understand that intimacy isn't a race. It's about connection, exploration, and making sure both partners feel satisfied. Many younger women appreciate that shift from raw energy to intentional intimacy. It makes them feel valued not just as bodies, but as partners in a shared experience. Now, let's not overlook culture. In many societies, there's still an unspoken belief that men are supposed to be older than their wives or partners. This isn't just tradition. It ties back to the idea that men are providers and women are nurturers. Even though times have changed and women are more independent than ever, those cultural undercurrents still influence choices. A younger woman with an older man often fits into that societal script more neatly than the reverse. And for some, conforming to that script feels easier and more natural. Another reason is patience with conflict. Younger men might storm out of the house after a disagreement, slam doors, or give the silent treatment. Older men, in contrast, tend to be more composed. They've learned that arguments don't mean the end of love, and shouting doesn't fix anything. They prefer to resolve issues with dialogue and compromise. That ability to navigate conflict calmly makes relationships with them less stressful. For younger women who have dealt with chaos in past relationships, this is a huge relief. Let's also remember that attraction isn't always logical. Sometimes it's about energy. An older man might carry himself with a certain charm, an aura that says he knows himself. That kind of presence can be intoxicating. And for a younger woman still navigating who she is, that energy can act like an anchor. It makes her feel secure, guided, and admired in a way that feels different from her peers. We also can't forget the influence of role models and representation. Growing up, many women are exposed to movies, books, and shows where the successful, charming older man sweeps the young woman off her feet. Think about it, from classic romances to modern dramas, this dynamic is often romanticized. Whether we like it or not, those portrayals sink into our subconscious. They normalize the idea that an older man is not just acceptable, but desirable. So when women encounter that in real life, it doesn't feel unusual. There's also a power dynamic worth discussing. For some younger women, being with an older man can feel empowering. It's not always about submission. Sometimes it's about being valued by someone who could have had choices elsewhere. It's about feeling chosen by someone with experience, with status, with options. That feeling of being seen as exceptional can boost self-esteem and create a powerful bond. On the other hand, we need to be honest about how judgmental society can be. When people see a younger woman with an older man, the immediate assumption is often transactional. She must be after his money. He must be controlling her. But as we've explored, the reality is far more layered. Attraction is never about one thing. It's a cocktail of stability, chemistry, values, timing, and emotional needs. To reduce it to money is not just lazy, it's unfair. It strips both individuals of the depth of their choices. And let's think about the flip side too. Older men often prefer younger women because they bring vibrancy, freshness, and energy into their lives. So in many cases, the attraction is mutual. It's not about one side using the other. It's about two people finding in each other what they feel is missing in their lives. She brings him vitality, he brings her stability, and together they strike a balance. When you view it that way, it doesn't look strange at all. It looks like two people meeting needs in a way that makes sense for them. Finally, it's worth reflecting on the idea of growth. Younger women sometimes see older men as partners who can help them grow not just in love, but in life. Growth in career, in confidence, in self-awareness. Relationships aren't just about romance, they're also about evolution. And if someone feels they can evolve faster and stronger with an older partner, it's no surprise they choose that path. So when you look at the reasons younger women prefer older men, it's not just one thing. It's a blend of maturity, stability, confidence, guidance, emotional depth, cultural influence, and sometimes plain old chemistry. And maybe that's the beauty of it. That love and attraction don't fit neatly into the categories we try to force them into. They're human, messy, layered, and deeply personal. When you look at relationships closely, one truth that stands out is that people are always seeking balance. We are all, in one way or another, looking for what completes us, what stabilizes us, and what enhances our lives. Younger women who find themselves drawn to older men often describe it not as a calculated choice, but as something that feels natural. They'll tell you that they weren't chasing age or wealth. They were chasing how the man made them feel. That feeling of security, admiration, and being cherished can sometimes be stronger with an older partner. Consider how life experience plays a role in shaping character. An older man has already lived through phases that many younger men are just stepping into. He's likely dealt with heartbreaks, with career setbacks, with the challenges of becoming independent. That lived experience gives him perspective. He knows that life isn't perfect, and he knows how to handle setbacks without falling apart. A younger woman can feel comforted by that. She doesn't have to constantly worry about her partner being overwhelmed by the little storms of life. Instead, she can trust that he's able to weather challenges with composure. That kind of reliability becomes a strong attraction point. In fact, reliability itself is one of the most underrated qualities in relationships. It's not glamorous like romance or flashy like gifts, but it's the foundation on which love thrives. Older men are often more reliable because they've grown into themselves. They keep promises. They show up when they say they will. They don't disappear at the first sign of stress. That dependability makes a younger woman feel safe enough to invest emotionally without fear of being abandoned. There's also a nurturing aspect that comes into play. Many older men enjoy taking care of their partners in ways that are not just financial. They cook, they plan, they pay attention to details, they check in on how she's feeling. For a younger woman, especially one who has dealt with inconsistency or neglect in past relationships, that kind of attentiveness feels refreshing. It sends the message, you matter, you're valued, you're not an afterthought. And when someone consistently makes you feel like a priority, you naturally grow more attached to them. Now, let's also think about the way older men approach commitment. For many younger men, the idea of settling down feels restrictive, like a loss of freedom. They might resist it, delay it, or play games to avoid it. Older men, however, often see commitment as something enriching. They've had their time to explore, and now they value partnership. They recognize the beauty of building something steady with another person. That mindset makes them more intentional in relationships. They don't waste time stringing someone along. For a younger woman who wants clarity and direction, that level of intentionality is highly appealing. One thing that also stands out is how older men handle independence in their partners. They don't panic if their woman is ambitious or if she has her own social life. Many actually celebrate it. They don't feel threatened by her success. They've already built their identity, so they don't need to control hers to feel significant. Younger women often find that liberating, because they can grow as individuals without feeling like they're dimming their own light to keep a partner comfortable. That sense of freedom within a relationship is not always easy to find, and it's one of the reasons they choose older men. There's also the subtle but powerful influence of mentorship. In many relationships with older men, the younger woman feels like she's not just in love, but also learning. She learns from his stories, from his experiences, from his mistakes, and from his victories. He might guide her in business decisions, encourage her to take risks, or help her see her own potential more clearly. That mentorship doesn't mean she's dependent. It means she has a partner who pushes her to grow. And when you're young and trying to figure life out, that kind of support can make a world of difference. Of course, chemistry itself should never be ignored. Sometimes attraction has no explanation other than two people connecting on a deep, almost unspoken level. A younger woman might meet an older man and feel an instant spark, one that isn't rooted in logic, but in something instinctive. His smile, his voice, the way he looks at her. It creates a bond that words can't fully capture. And once that spark exists, it doesn't matter what outsiders think. Age becomes irrelevant. What matters is how they make each other feel. It's also worth acknowledging that for some younger women, being with an older man provides a sense of admiration. They may look at him and see someone who has already accomplished things they aspire to. He might have built a career, traveled the world, or established a reputation. Being close to someone who embodies those achievements can feel inspiring. It's not about material gain, but about proximity to wisdom and success. That inspiration often rubs off, motivating the younger partner to push herself harder and dream bigger. Another layer to consider is patience. Older men tend to be more patient in relationships because they're not in a rush to prove anything. They take their time, they listen. They understand that people have flaws. For younger women, that patience can feel like a safe space where they don't have to pretend to be perfect. They can be themselves without fear of judgment or rejection. That sense of acceptance builds a deeper connection over time. Also, let's talk about priorities. As men age, their priorities shift. They're not as focused on impressing the crowd or keeping up appearances. They're more focused on health, happiness, peace, and meaningful connections. Those priorities often align with what many younger women are looking for too. A lot of women want a relationship that adds value to their lives rather than drains it. An older man, having filtered through the noise of life, is often better positioned to offer that. Even in day-to-day life, the difference shows. An older man might value quality time more, quiet evenings, thoughtful conversations, shared meals, rather than the constant chase for excitement. For a younger woman who craves emotional depth and stability, those simple, consistent gestures of love create a sense of intimacy that outshines temporary thrills. There's also the fact that many older men understand that relationships are not about dominance but about partnership. They've seen enough to know that control ruins intimacy while equality builds it. That mindset allows a younger woman to feel like she's standing beside her partner, not beneath him. It creates balance, and balance is one of the key reasons these relationships often thrive despite the age difference. And we shouldn't underestimate the role of respect. Older men often approach relationships with a deeper respect for women. They've learned from past mistakes, perhaps from failed marriages or breakups, and they carry those lessons forward. They know that respecting boundaries, valuing opinions, and treating a partner as an equal is the foundation of lasting love. For younger women who have experienced disrespect or immaturity in previous relationships, that respect feels like finally being seen in the way they deserve. Sometimes it even comes down to timing. Love is often about meeting the right person at the right time. A younger woman might be ready for stability, just as an older man is ready for companionship. Their paths align, and what might seem unusual from the outside makes perfect sense for them. Timing is powerful, and it explains why these relationships often feel so natural to those living them. Finally, we should recognize that relationships between younger women and older men endure not because of what people assume, but because of the bond they share. At the end of the day, love is about finding someone who brings out the best in you, who makes life easier, not harder, and who gives you a reason to smile even on difficult days. If an older man provides that for a younger woman, then her preference isn't strange, it's human. When you think about it carefully, relationships that cross age boundaries often challenge people's assumptions about love. Many onlookers are quick to dismiss them, but if you pause and listen to the stories of the couples themselves, you'll hear reasons that go far beyond surface-level stereotypes. A younger woman may say she feels calmer, safer, and more confident in herself when she's with an older man. She may describe how he encourages her to chase her dreams, how he reminds her that she is capable of more than she thinks, and how his belief in her changes the way she sees her own future. That kind of support is not something you can measure by age, but it's something many older men are able to provide because of the stage of life they're in. Think also about the way perspective shapes attraction. An older man often has a broader world view. He's seen highs and lows, traveled more, read more, and experienced different cultures or industries. Conversations with him can stretch further. They're not limited to gossip or fleeting trends, but cover deeper ideas, history, business, personal growth, even philosophy. For a younger woman, that kind of conversation can feel like an education as well as a bond. It stimulates her mind while also strengthening the emotional connection. Intellectual stimulation is an underrated but powerful form of attraction, and many older men bring that to the table with ease. It's also worth considering how an older man's calmness contrasts with the chaos of youth. Life in your 20s can be messy. Careers feel uncertain, friendships shift, self-doubt creeps in. Being with someone who has already survived that stage of life and emerged stronger can be grounding. His calm becomes contagious. His reassurance helps her see that setbacks aren't the end of the world, they're just part of the journey. That steady presence can make her feel more secure not only in the relationship but also in herself. In many ways, younger women see older men as less distracted. They're not chasing popularity or validation in the way younger men sometimes do. They've outgrown the need to constantly compete with others or prove themselves to the world. Instead, they focus their energy on the things that truly matter: love, family, health, peace. For a younger woman who's tired of uncertainty, that shift in priorities feels refreshing. It's like stepping into a relationship where the noise of the outside world fades away and only what's meaningful remains. Older men also tend to show more gratitude. After years of living, they know how rare it is to find genuine love, and they don't take it for granted. They're more likely to cherish the little things: a kind gesture, a shared laugh, a quiet evening together. For younger women, being with someone who actually notices and values their efforts can feel deeply affirming. Gratitude, after all, strengthens love, and many older men have mastered the art of showing it. Let's talk about confidence again, but in another sense. Younger men sometimes confuse confidence with arrogance. They puff out their chests, brag, and try to dominate to appear strong. Older men, having been through enough, often display confidence in more subtle, authentic ways. It's in the way they listen, the way they hold themselves, the way they make decisions without fuss. That quiet authority draws many younger women in. It's not loud, it's not boastful, but it's steady. And steady confidence feels safer than loud bravado. There's also the element of mentorship in professional life. Many younger women are ambitious, building careers and businesses, but they may lack guidance or access to networks. An older man often has experience and connections that he can share generously. He might give advice that saves her from mistakes, or introduce her to opportunities that change her path. While critics might dismiss that as dependence, the women themselves often see it as partnership, a blending of resources, knowledge, and dreams that benefits them both. Older men are also more likely to respect boundaries. They've learned that love doesn't mean control, and trust is more valuable than surveillance. A younger woman in such a relationship often feels freer because she doesn't have to justify every move or prove her loyalty constantly. That respect fosters a healthier dynamic, one where love grows without suffocation. In contrast, younger men sometimes struggle with insecurity, leading to jealousy or controlling behavior. For a woman who values her independence, the difference is stark, and we can't forget the role of admiration from the older man's side. Many older men who choose younger partners see them as vibrant, energetic, and full of potential. They admire that youthful energy, and instead of trying to dampen it, they encourage it. That exchange creates a balance. She brings freshness, spontaneity, and new ideas. He brings wisdom, patience, and perspective. Together, they complement each other in a way that feels balanced rather than lopsided. It's also interesting to note how older men handle mistakes. They're less likely to turn every disagreement into a battle. Instead, they pick their fights carefully, knowing that not everything is worth clashing over. That kind of maturity makes relationships smoother, with fewer unnecessary arguments. A younger woman can feel more at ease, knowing that her relationship won't be filled with constant drama. That peace becomes one of the most attractive aspects of being with an older man. For many younger women, being with an older partner also represents a sense of emotional grounding. He doesn't just react, he reflects. He listens, thinks, and responds with intention. That intentionality makes the relationship feel deeper and more secure. In a world where many people are distracted, rushing, or half committed, that kind of presence feels rare and valuable. There's also a subtle but undeniable element of romance. Older men often practice romance differently. It's not always grand gestures, but small, thoughtful ones: remembering her favorite food, planning a trip she mentioned months ago, checking in after a long day. Those details add up, creating a consistent feeling of being cared for. And in relationships, consistency often matters more than intensity. Younger women who have felt overlooked in past relationships often find that level of attentiveness irresistible. We should also acknowledge that many older men have learned resilience through hardship. Failed businesses, personal losses, broken relationships, all of these experiences shape character. A younger woman in a relationship with such a man benefits from that resilience. She sees how he handles challenges and draws strength from it herself. His example teaches her that life doesn't always go smoothly, but perseverance is possible. That modeling of resilience is itself an act of love. Even the way older men approach time can be different. They understand the value of it more deeply. They don't waste hours on things that don't matter, and they try to make the most of the moments they share with their partner. That sense of presence being truly there when together makes younger women feel deeply valued. It creates memories that linger longer than material gifts. Finally, there's the undeniable fact that love is personal. It doesn't always align with societal expectations or fit neatly into the stories we're told. A younger woman may simply feel that her older partner is her person, the one who sees her, understands her, and makes her better. And if she finds that in someone older, it's not about age, it's about connection. Sometimes the simplest answer to why a younger woman might prefer an older man is that she feels at peace in his presence. Peace may sound ordinary, but in reality it is rare. The world is noisy, full of pressure, and relationships themselves can add to that noise if they are unstable. An older partner who brings calmness into her life can feel like a gift. He's not constantly looking for attention from every direction. He's not insecure about her every move, and he's not dragging her into unnecessary arguments. That peace becomes addictive, and once she experiences it, she doesn't want to let it go. It also comes down to trust. Trust is built not by words, but by patterns of behavior, and older men, having gone through life, tend to understand the value of keeping their word. They're more deliberate with promises, and because they don't make commitments lightly, when they do commit, it carries weight. Younger women often find that kind of trustworthiness comforting. It allows them to open up emotionally, to be vulnerable without fear of betrayal. Vulnerability is one of the deepest parts of intimacy, and it only flourishes where trust exists. Older men are often better at creating that safe emotional space. They are more willing to listen without judgment, to sit quietly when needed, and to give reassurance when words aren't enough. Younger women who have dealt with immaturity in partners their own age feel the difference right away. It feels like stepping into a relationship where her emotions are not dismissed but respected. That respect builds intimacy layer by layer until the bond feels unshakable. Another factor that cannot be ignored is patience with growth. Many younger women are still finding themselves building careers, discovering passions, experimenting with identity. An older partner can be patient through that journey, offering encouragement instead of pressure. He doesn't expect her to have all the answers immediately because he knows from experience that answers take time. His patience allows her to grow at her own pace without fear of judgment, and that freedom to evolve is priceless. Let's also consider how older men approach responsibility. By the time a man has reached a certain stage in life, he understands that responsibility isn't optional. Bills must be paid, commitments must be kept, and people must be cared for. That sense of responsibility translates into his relationships. He doesn't treat them casually, but as something worth protecting and maintaining. Younger women who are serious about love find that attitude reassuring. They want a partner who won't disappear when things get tough, and older men are often better equipped to offer that consistency. For many younger women, there's also the thrill of stepping into a different world. Older men might introduce them to places, ideas, or experiences they've never encountered before. It could be a type of music, a restaurant, a perspective on life, or even travel opportunities. That expansion of horizons is exciting. It adds richness to her life and deepens the bond between them. Love, after all, is partly about exploration. And with an older partner, the exploration often feels meaningful rather than aimless. There's also something to be said about the way older men handle affection. They may not always be flashy, but they are often consistent. They text not out of obligation, but out of genuine care. They call to check in. They remember details. They surprise in small, thoughtful ways. For younger women, those gestures build a sense of reliability. It's not about a dramatic display of love once in a while. It's about the small, steady signals every day that say, "You matter to me." That consistency becomes more valuable than grand, irregular gestures. Respect for individuality is another quality that younger women often find in older men. He doesn't need her to be a reflection of him. He accepts her as her own person with her own tastes, goals, and personality. That kind of acceptance allows her to express herself freely without fear of criticism. She doesn't have to pretend or shrink herself to be loved. Instead, she is embraced for who she truly is. And that feeling of being seen fully is one of the strongest bonds in any relationship. Older men also tend to understand the art of compromise. They know that relationships are not about winning every argument, but about finding common ground. They know when to give in, when to push, and when to let things go. That balance makes conflicts less destructive and allows love to survive even when disagreements happen. For younger women who want stability, that skill is invaluable. It keeps the relationship from becoming a battlefield and turns it into a partnership. And while we often talk about stability in financial or emotional terms, there's also stability in values. Older men have usually figured out what they believe in, what matters to them, and what they stand for. That clarity can be attractive because it removes confusion. A younger woman doesn't have to guess where he stands on important matters. He's already clear. That clarity helps her feel like she can build with him without fear that his foundation will crumble. Another powerful attraction is protection, not in the outdated sense of controlling or sheltering, but in the sense of having someone who looks out for her well-being. An older man may remind her to rest, encourage her to save money, or stand by her when others try to mistreat her. That protective instinct isn't about dominance but about care. Knowing someone is genuinely invested in her well-being makes a younger woman feel valued and safe. We also can't ignore how confidence in intimacy plays a role. Many older men are more comfortable in their own skin. They're not rushing, not insecure, not trying to prove anything. That comfort allows for deeper physical and emotional connection. It's not about frequency or performance, but about quality and connection. Younger women who value intimacy as an expression of love often find that depth with older partners in a way that feels more fulfilling. And there's another layer. Older men often encourage emotional maturity in their partners. By modeling patience, calmness, and resilience, they inspire the younger woman to adopt those traits herself. Over time, she grows not just as a partner, but as a person. That kind of personal development within a relationship is one of the most valuable outcomes, and it's one reason many younger women actively seek older men. It's also worth mentioning that older men are often less judgmental of flaws. They know nobody is perfect because they themselves have lived long enough to see their own imperfections. That acceptance creates a safe space for the younger woman to be authentic. She doesn't feel pressure to be flawless. She can laugh at her mistakes, share her insecurities, and know that she's loved regardless. That kind of unconditional acceptance is powerful, and it creates a bond that feels almost unbreakable. Even their approach to time together can be different. Older men often prioritize quality over quantity. They value meaningful moments, conversations that matter, shared experiences that build memories over simply being around each other for the sake of it. That focus on quality makes the relationship feel richer. A younger woman can sense that her time with him is intentional, not casual, and that intentionality deepens the love. In the end, attraction to older men isn't about one single thing. It's about a collection of qualities: peace, wisdom, stability, respect, patience, and love expressed with intention. Each woman's story will be unique, but these patterns appear again and again because they reflect universal needs in relationships. And once those needs are met, the number of candles on a cake becomes less important than the feeling of being truly understood and deeply cherished. At the heart of all of this, what becomes clear is that the preference younger women sometimes have for older men is not as shallow or strange as it is often made out to be. It's easy to stand on the outside and reduce it to money, convenience, or power, but when you peel back the layers, you see something far more human. You see a search for peace, for safety, for wisdom, for maturity, for real partnership. These are not superficial desires. These are the very things most of us, regardless of age or gender, are hoping to find in love. The truth is, age alone doesn't create attraction. What draws people together is how they make each other feel. An older man can offer a younger woman a sense of grounding, stability, and guidance that speaks directly to where she is in her life. At the same time, she offers him energy, vitality, and a fresh perspective that keeps him inspired. That balance is why these relationships often work. It's not about one side taking from the other. It's about exchange. He gives her reassurance, she gives him renewal. He gives her wisdom, she gives him vitality. Both walk away with something valuable, and that mutual gain is the foundation of any strong bond. Of course, not every relationship between a younger woman and an older man will succeed, just like not every relationship between people of the same age succeeds. But when these partnerships do thrive, it's usually because they are built on something deeper than surface-level attraction. They're built on communication, on respect, on stability, and on a willingness to learn from one another. These are timeless ingredients for love, and they just happen to be qualities older men may be more ready to provide. It's also worth saying that love is not a one-size-fits-all experience. Some women are drawn to men their own age. Some even prefer younger men. That does not make their love less valid, just as choosing an older partner does not make someone shallow or desperate. Love is personal, and the choices people make reflect what they value most at that stage of their lives. For one woman, that value might be energy and ambition. For another, it might be wisdom and calmness. Neither is wrong. Both are simply different ways of seeking fulfillment. What younger women who prefer older men are really telling us is that they want relationships that make them feel safe, valued, and supported. They are choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, stability over uncertainty. And if they find those qualities in someone older, then that's their truth. It's not about what society thinks looks right. It's about what feels right in their hearts. So, when we see these relationships, instead of rushing to judge, perhaps we should take a moment to learn from them. Because what they reveal is something universal. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want love that feels steady, love that helps us grow, and love that makes us better. And if age becomes the bridge that allows two people to find that, then the number of years between them matters far less than the depth of the bond they share.